Hey everyone, happy Friday. Okay, so hopefully you took the Unit 6 Part 1 test yesterday. If you didn't, you need to email me so that we can figure out a time where I can unlock it so that you can go back and take it, because you will have a 0 for that next week, because I'm going to put those grades into Skyward probably this weekend. Okay, so today we're continuing on. We're still in Unit 6. But this is like part 2. It's kind of like we're going to take what we learned in part 1 and we're going to apply it and use it in another skill that we're about to learn. So today we're going to just be looking at notes. Your assignment, your work for today is all in your notes. So if you go to Canvas, here is Unit 6. Don't forget to do your check-in today. Remember, way back up here at the beginning of Unit 6 module is your journal notes. So this is what I'm working out of. So remember, you can be writing these, and you're probably are going to need to get a piece of paper out. If you don't have a printer to print this out, then get a piece of paper, and you're going to be like, you need to be writing the problems on paper and working them from there. So that's all. I don't have an assignment today because the assignment is in the notes. So let me bring up my iPad here so I can write. Because it's just going to be really impossible for you. I put boxes for you to type some of this, but some of it you're not going to be able to type. Okay, so we're talking about multiplying polynomials. So some of this is not going to look new. Some of this we have done when we were working on those word problems this week. But there's a new piece that we're going to look at, and I hope it's not going to be too confusing. It should make some sense to you. So let's talk about what the heck is a polynomial. Well, polynomials, there's actually different types. So the first one we're going to look at is a monomial. What's a monomial? Well, you can think of it as it's just an algebraic expression that has what we call one term in it. That's what it means. One term, one piece. So for instance, if I was to write something like x squared or 2x squared, that's just one term, one piece right there. Now a binomial, and hopefully you're thinking of like mono and bi and tri. These are actually prefixes, and you use these in biology, and if you take chemistry, you'll use these a lot. So bi, think of like bicycle. It means something with two wheels. So that's going to be two terms. For instance, if I was to give you something like 3x minus 2. Or what if I said maybe 6y squared plus 1? Both of those have two terms in them. Notice they're separated by a plus or a minus. That's what makes it its own individual term. And this should be familiar when we're going around adding up like terms. We're doing perimeter. We were looking at each piece that was separated by a plus or a minus. So trinomial, I bet you've caught on, is going to be 3. Think of a tricycle. It has 3 wheels. So let me give you an example of a trinomial. What if I had 6g cubed minus 5g squared plus, I don't know, g. That's 3 pieces right there. That's a trinomial. It has three terms. Polynomial, I know my screen's trying to catch up. Polynomial, poly means many. So actually a monomial, binomial, and trinomial, those are all polynomials, but it just means many terms. So all of these above are actually all, they are actually all polynomials, every one of them. But if you had something that has more than 3 terms, we just call it a polynomial. We don't give it a special name. So basically monomial, binomial, trinomial are special names for polynomials that have 1, 2, or 3 terms. So let me give you something. You can have so many terms. Let's see. I'm going to do something. Let's see. I'm going to have 10 w to the power of 5 minus 2 w to the 4 plus 3 w cubed minus 6 w squared plus w minus 7. I mean, look at how many terms, how many pieces there are. Now, we don't really deal with this many terms in algebra that much. But yeah, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. So that we would just say that's a polynomial. Okay, so that's what those words mean. So how do we work these problems? How do we multiply these things? Well, multiplying monomials, so one term with binomials and trinomials, things that have 2 or 3 terms, is actually what we already did this. We did this when we were working those area and perimeter problems and our word problems that we were working earlier this week. So let's just work a few more problems together. We no longer are talking about area here. We've just been given this problem, so we can practice this skill. Now, number 1 is an old style problem. So remember, anytime you have parentheses, it means that you're going to distribute. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be distributing more things now. So we would say, well, 3 times 2 is 6, and there's an x there. And 3 times negative 14 is going to be negative, 28, and then 42, I think. Guys, I think I did that right. So 6x minus 42. So easy. We've been doing those. Let's look at number 2. So the difference I'm seeing with number 2 is that I'll have a number out front, but I also have a variable now, an m, that I need to distribute. So I'm going to write this out the long way so we can see actually what's happening. But that's what I was doing when we were doing those area problems earlier in the week. So for this piece, I have negative 2m times 5m squared. And then I have to do negative 2m times negative 12. So notice I'm 2 terms inside. That's a binomial inside the parentheses. And my answer then is going to have 2 terms in it because I have this stuff that's separated here by a minus. Well, I need to work this out. I can't. Negative 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. And then I have m to the first power and m squared. Well, that's going to be m to the third power. Think about if you wrote it out. M times m squared. Well, that's an m times 2 more m's. M times m. That's 3 m's that have been multiplied together. That's m cubed. Minus, well, negative 2 times negative 12 becomes positive. Negative times a negative is a positive. 24, and I only have 1 m. So there's my answer for that one. So it's kind of interesting. I like to look and go, okay, I had an m out front, and I basically am giving each one of these terms inside the parentheses here and here, I'm giving them an extra m. And then I'm multiplying the numbers out front. Ooh, my battery's running low on my pencil. This could be bad. Okay, so let's do number 3. Actually, I'm going to do 4. I want you to do 3 on your own. So let's distribute here. Well, the 7 times the 4 is 28. And then r squared times r squared. We have to think about what that is. Well, that's 2 r's multiplied by 2 more r's. That's really r to the power of 4. Remember, the shortcut here was to add your powers. So now I have to do times this term. Well, there's a 1 in front of that r, so that's 7. And then r squared times r becomes r cubed. Multiply this one. Well, negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. And there's no r's here, so I don't have to worry about powers, but it becomes this. There's your final answer, r squared. Okay, so we can do this when we have one term and then things in parentheses. But now this is just steps down below here. This is steps that you can refer back to. I'm going to actually walk you through these steps on the next page. So we have this weird thing called the box. And we're going to use the box for the rest of Unit 6. The box is simply a tool to help you organize what needs to be multiplied. So now this is different because look, I'm multiplying 2 things and I have a binomial and then I have a binomial out front and behind it that I'm trying to multiply. Because before, above, we were just multiplying one thing out front of our parentheses and distributing it inside. But now I have 2 things that I'm trying to distribute. So it can get a little hectic. So let me come over here and show you what I mean. You do not have to write this down. I'll tell you when to start writing. So basically, this means, well, I have x minus 3 times 2x plus 5. So what I have to do is distribute this x times this one, and I can do that. That would be 2x squared. X times x is x squared. Then I have to do the x times this piece over here. Well, that would be plus 5 times x is 5x. But I'm not done yet because notice how there's still a negative 3 here. So now I have to multiply the negative 3 times everything. Well, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And there's an x with that term. And then I have to do the negative 3 times the 5. Well, that's negative 15. So what happens when we multiply these out is we tend to get some terms in the middle here that are like terms. They have the same variable and the same power. Okay, so I could simplify this to be 2x squared, and then 5x minus 6x is minus 1x is what's left, minus 15. So this is our final answer. Now that was a lot to have to distribute. So I'm about to work this problem a different way. We're going to get the same exact answer, but the box is going to help you know what to multiply and where to multiply it. So what I do is I take my pieces and I put them on the outside of the box. So again, this is what I did over here on the side. You don't have to write this down. I'm just showing you an easier way to keep track of what to multiply and have you multiply everything. Because what students tend to do is forget a piece and they don't multiply everything. So what you do is like, I'm going to take x minus 3 and I'm going to break it apart. I have x and I have minus 3. So the sign has to go with the number in front of it, right? Then I'm going to take the other piece, 2x, and it doesn't matter which piece you put where. I could have put the 2x and the 5 on the top. Now, I didn't put a plus in front of the 5. We just need to make sure and write if it's negative. But you could put plus 5 if you wanted to. Now, think about biology. When you were doing Punnett squares, that's what you need to be doing here. So we need to take, you know how in biology you'll take like the two that are on the outside and you write them like side by side inside the box. That's what we're doing. We're multiplying to get the inside of your box, okay? So you're going to multiply your pieces. You have to remember that to get the inside. Let me let my screen catch up because I think it's lagging behind here. Okay, and remember, we're going to get this same answer that we got over here. This is just an easier way to keep track of it. So I'm going to start by multiplying the 2x times the x. And there's what I multiply. It's going to go in this box right here. So 2x times x is 2. X times x is x squared, right? X times x is the same thing as x squared. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply, let me grab a different color, the 2x times the negative 3, and I'm going to put it in this box. This is going to look a little messy. I'm going to put it in this box right here. So 2x times negative 3. Well, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, and there's an x. Now, I'm going to multiply the 5 and the x, and it's going to go in this box right here. Well, 5 times x is 5x. Now, this should be looking familiar. These pieces, we got them all over here on the side. Okay, so now, let me grab one more color here. I'm going to multiply the 5 times the negative 3, and of course, it's going to go in this box right here. So 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. So basically, this is just like a graphic organizer. It just helps you keep track of your pieces. And now, because my box is full, I know that I didn't miss anything. The inside of my box is completely filled in. So now I know I've multiplied all my pieces. Well, look, I can write it out, but I'm going to tell you, these boxes right here usually are the ones where you can combine those terms. So I still have the 2x squared. And my negative 15, my last box, is going to go to on the end. I'm just going to fill in my middle piece here, my term, that is x to the power of 1. We'll have 5x and negative 6, and we already said that's negative x. So see how I got the same answer? Just the box made it easier for me to multiply them. So when you're doing these problems, draw the box on your paper, just like it is here. You don't have to do the outside boxes if you don't want to, where you're putting your pieces, but draw like a square, and then draw the cross in the middle, and then multiply them that way. I'm going to leave 2. I want you to do 2 on your own. I'm going to try to do 3 and 4. However, my battery is running low on my pencil, so I hope it doesn't go out. 3 is a little bit different because it has a different power. So I'm going to write my pieces on the outside of my box. That's what I do first. Let my screen catch up here. Okay, so I have 2d and negative 1. So I'm going to put 2d squared, and I have negative 1. And then my other pieces are 4D and 7. So you have to break them apart, because remember, that's what we're doing when we're multiplying. We're multiplying each piece times all the other pieces. Okay, so here we go. So the first box, I'll multiply the 4 times the 2, that's 8, and then D times D squared gives me D to the power of 3. So now here I go again. Let me grab a different color. So now I have to do 4D times negative 1. Well, 4D times negative 1 is just negative 4D. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. Okay, another color. Now I'm going to do this box. So that's 7 and 2D squared. That's what I'm multiplying now. So 7 times 2 is 14. And then I don't have any more D's to worry about my power, so it's D squared. Well, now I'm going to do 7 times negative 1. Well, 7 times negative 1 is just negative 7. Now, I'm looking. Now, I told you sometimes these two boxes here and here you can combine, but not all the time. It depends on what your pieces are. So for these, I can combine in these pieces. I have a D cubed, I have a negative 4D, I have a D squared, and a negative 7. So I'm going to write my final answer. I don't have any pieces to combine. 8D cubed, and then I'm going to write the piece that has the D squared next. It doesn't matter what order you write these pieces in either, guys. Remember, sometimes we reorder our pieces. So notice none of those pieces could be combined together because none of them have the same variable and the same power. Okay, so number 3, I'm going to set up the box, but I want you to do the multiplying. So I am going to have to put this piece that has the 3 pieces in the top because that's the only place it'll fit. 6x squared, then I have a 7x, and then I have a negative 2. And then I have x and minus 3 along the side. So remember, you have to split it up. Now, let me show you. You're going to do this piece times this piece, and it's going to go in this box, right? Then you're going to do this piece times this piece in this box. Then you're going to do your x times this piece, and it goes in this box. Then, let me see if I have some more colors. Negative 3 times this piece goes in here. I have so many colors. Then negative 3 times this piece, and it goes in here. And then, let me see. Oh, I'll do black. Negative 3 times this piece, and it goes in here. So do you see how this box comes in handy? Now, yes, your answer is going to be really long. And I think you will have some pieces that you can combine here, some like terms. So be looking for that. See if you have some like terms that you can combine. I think you can do it. And if you want to check your answers, send me an email and I'll finish this out and send it to you so you can check your answers. Because I don't mind doing that. But I want you to attempt them. Okay? So take it slow. And don't worry, we're going to practice this a lot more. Tomorrow especially. But your goal today is just to take this in, rewatch this video if you need to, and fill in the rest of the notes.